You're watching the Isaiah Factor Uncensored.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for the second half hour of The Factor Uncensored. More young men are making a choice to stay single and stay single for a longer amount of time. Our next guest has more details on how this impacts modern day relationships. Joining us now here on The Factor Uncensored, we have with us Dr. Nick Hardy. And Dr. Hardy, we are seeing a new trend that's out there. More and more younger men are staying single longer. I think the latest statistics show 63% of them found that men under 30 describe themselves as single by the Pew Center. Also, 34% of women in the same age group remain single longer. Why do you think so many young people are now describing themselves and feeling more comfortable staying single longer?
Yeah, I think there's so many different things that I think go into it. So let's just start at a basic level. I think number one, life is just getting more expensive. And so it's expensive to be in a relationship, even just starting out.
Even a date, Dr. Hardy, even a damn date.
Look, moving dinner is a cool $100 now. So I mean,
Right.
you do this two, three
With no
times.
guarantees at the end of the night.
Yeah, and you can only go to the bar so many times. So, look, I think it is more expensive, and I think not even just dating being more expensive. I think there's a certain level of stability that you want to be at when it comes to being in a relationship. And so, I think just for starters, I think that contributes a lot to people, really holding off on the dating, not because it's just so expensive, but when you start thinking about just taking care of yourself, you want to be at a certain level. And so I think that leads to prioritizing, your education, your career. And then with that, there's this added layer of just mobility. People are moving around a lot more now. So the whole traditional, I'm here for the next 10, 15 years, that's just not how things are happening. So I think that's at a basic level. And I think there's some other things too, though.
And when you look at that from a certain perspective, it makes sense. It's like, I want to be prepared. I want to be a whole person. I don't want to come with baggage,
Mhm.
like still not financially secure, still haven't finished everything I wanted to do professionally, educationally yet. And I am now that I'm ready and ready for the world, I can enter this relationship without having that baggage on me.
Yep, absolutely. But I think there's a moving target to that to some extent. I mean, there is no, even once you get to a certain place, there's still going to be questions about, am I ready from a financial perspective? So I think we have to be careful with that. But I do understand the sentiment of wanting to be in a healthy place, especially when it comes to just the direction of your career and, having some stability financially. But I think that's just one side of the equation. I think also, too, something else is contributing to this is there's a misconception on the benefits of being in a relationship and potentially being married. I think a lot of times we look at that as a hindrance to our career.
Mhm.
And in many ways, it's a benefit. Now, you have to be with the right person for sure, but I don't
Right.
think we talk. I mean, let me start there. You don't want to choose wrong, but I do think we don't talk enough about some of the pros and they go along with being in a healthy relationship. A lot of the narratives that I hear sometimes is, this is going to be restrictive, or if I'm with this person, then I'm not going to be able to explore and travel and do all these things. And I don't think that's the case.
Now, Dr. Hardy, I recently heard a CEO, and he was a multimillionaire, and he talked about this very topic, saying that having his wife, having this life partner helped him in more ways than he ever thought. It helped him succeed even more than he anticipated, he thought initially. He
Mhm.
needed to be alone and just work and put his head into the books and focus on the company. But he said having his wife there, having that support,
Mhm.
helped him tremendously. And he doesn't believe he would have been where he is in life without having that life partner.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the data backs it up. When you look at millionaires, I mean, the overwhelming majority of them are married. And I think that's for a reason. I think in part you do have that support, you have that stability, and I think it just focuses you. And so a lot of times we think we need to, be at a certain place and then kind of prioritize the relationship. But I think if you choose right, the relationship can really catapult you to that level of success.
Don't go anywhere. We'll continue this discussion after the break. I'm Isaiah Carey, here to shake things up with the stories that hit hard and matter most.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored, weeknights at 10:30 on Fox 26 and Fox Local.
And welcome back to the Factor Uncensored. We continue to explore the dating landscape as young men are not as eager to jump into relationships these days. Let's get back to it. Now, have we considered, obviously, this was a Pew Center study that was done that indicated 63% of men under 30 describe themselves as single, while 34% of the women. And when you think about under 30, you think about individuals who were pretty young in their formative years during the pandemic. And many people, many experts say those who spend a lot of time young during the pandemic don't have those skills necessary to get along with others. Now, that's what the others are saying. But do you think they lack the ability to go out and socialize and find and foster these relationships? And that's why they're staying single. Things are not as easy because, and I throw this in too, Dr. Hardy. Just 2 weeks ago, we did a segment with Dr. Angela about people who are dating AI. You know, they're Chat GPT. You know, there's a small population of people who don't want to do the work in the real world. So they form a relationship with their AI and they're happy with it. Who knows if it's correct or not? But
I'm seeing people every day use Chat GPT in ways that I don't even know if it was intended for, you know. but you know, hey, to each its own. But I do think there is, whether it's because of the pandemic or just our attachment to technology and being online, I do think there is a people skill that we're missing out on. And I think, to your point, that contributes a tremendous amount to this kind of growing number of people being single, because when it comes to basic communication, basic problem solving skills, all of these things that go into making a relationship successful, you miss that when you're doing life and relationships, so you know, predominantly online as well too. So
and for those who may be struggling to coexist with others in a romantic relationship, what advice would you give them to take that first step so they can get off of this list that they may not necessarily want to be on, but they're on because they lack the skills to find that significant other, that mate out there? What first step, if they lack the ability to have relationships because of the pandemic, would you give them?
Yeah, so I think you said it. So relationships are a skill, and people forget that in order to develop any skill, you have to invest in it. So whether that's from an education perspective, whether that's, you know, seeing a therapist, I mean, we all have blind spots. We all have areas where we can grow and develop. And so I think the first step is, you know, engaging in something that helps us see our own blind spots. So many times I see people, you know, talk about relationships and it's everything that the other person is doing wrong. You know, like, oh, you need to, you know, if they would only do this and don't do that. And never do you see any self-reflection on, you know what, this is how I need to grow. This is how I need to develop and invest in my own personal growth and well-being. And so I think, you know, you have to come to the table understanding that while you may have these unhealthy or negative experiences, two things can be true at the same time. And so a part of the other side of that equation is being able to look at ourselves and see, you know what, how can I grow, and what are some areas where, you know, I can become a better individual so that I can have that relationship.
Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Factor Uncensored.